is a different story and a different story altogether. But
I'm not even sure there is a story here.
There's a story.
Notes glued together, and it's all not even complete sentences.
Anyway.
Whisp, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
That's the level Dune 6 is written.
All right. Anyway, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to Smudcast number 809. Star Wars: The Acolyte's cancellation is bad for TV. All in caps. Oh no. How we write sentences with the English language, I don't know anymore. So this is a video from the last month. Oh, sorry, we're still in August. This month, about 4 days ago, from Jessie Gender After Dark. Has above 9,000 views, and it's got a little bit of a ratio, about, I don't know, 80% upvotes. So maybe someone gives a shit what Jessie has to say. I don't know. And some people downvoted it. So good for Jessie. She's
I would downvote it from the smirk on the first frame alone.
Yeah, the smirk is hard to get past. It's let's listen to this critic.
It's broken.
Really?
I don't know. It's fine on my end when I look at the stream.
Couldn't tell you. I mean, everything looks fine on my side. What do you mean by?
They say the audio looping.
What does that mean?
Can you hit F5?
You mean me?
No, the chat that probably can't hear me.
Okay, what exactly is the problem with the audio? Someone needs to tell me.
Well, if it's a loop bug, I of course couldn't hear it.
Is it an echo?
They say it's looping for some reason.
What does that mean?
Oh, Fox
Tyler is fine. Rabbit says the audio works fine, and then it starts going at half speed.
Okay.
Smud ain't signed in Lamau.
Maybe try to be behind the stream a bit. What does the do the YouTube stats tell you anything?
Not really. It shows that
stream health.
Yeah, the stream health is fine.
Dear Jameson, I reloaded it. It seems to be doing all right for me.
It says stream health is excellent. It's green. Everything checks out. So if it's okay, it's okay. We get started.
Chat says it works
working now.
All right. Fantastic.
Prepared itself.
Let's get started. Here's the first donation of the day. Thank you, sir. My OnlyFans-tastic. Okay. Sorry, Mr. OnlyFans-tastic. That's great. Okay, thanks for the tip. Oh God, this guy looks like an even gayer version of Xander Hall. No, that's not even fair. That's not. You can't compare the two. That's. Why would you even?
Jessie managed to transition into an unattractive lesbian.
I don't know what that look is. I don't want to know. Anyway, and twice as emaciated. Thank you. Anyway, I really identify with the witches in Acolyte because I too use force to impregnate lesbians. That's about as close as I want to get to them too. Anyway, 14 minutes. Here we go. Mr., Mrs., Jessie, whatever Jessie is. Jessie Gender.
Hey there, interwebs. I hope you're all doing well. So I've talked about this a little bit on my social medias, but I wanted to do a video on it because I just needed to rant about my feelings about the cancellation of Star Wars: The Acolyte, and how it really honestly depresses me and kind of what it's. So
Jessie is depressed because a show which no one really likes is too expensive. No one's really watching. Is depressing them. Okay, fine.
Okay, so this intro is really boring, and did you catch that cut?
Nobody liked the thing I liked. That was actual shit. Now I'm sad that nobody liked the shit I liked.
Yeah, I would be depressed.
I feel not affirmed in my worldview of the shit I like because it's all just political fetish shit.
Yeah, I would be a bit not depressed, but I would be like concerned. Like the last season of Babylon 5 was canceled. I'd be like, whoa, because that we knew where it was going and we're expecting a lot of things to come to fruition. Whereas with Acolyte, it's like a bunch of people died and we don't know what this one girl's going to do. It's not that compelling. Maybe she'll do this. Like, it doesn't compel me to watch and find out, even if I were to watch the original. I got enough of the plot just by watching clips from friends, and I was like, nah, who cares? It's silly.
The thing was nothing except for being lore destructive.
Oh, yeah.
And on purpose, in spiteful fashion, and in arrogant fashion.
Oh, we're going to talk about the actress doing the dance video where she's making fun of white people. I can't remember exactly what she said. But did you hear that about this?
I have not heard of that. I have not seen that. But it fits perfectly into how these people think and operate. Because they're just bloody racist.
It's the
everything
strangest...
they accuse everyone else of being.
It's the strange... It's as if you saw... I don't know, imagine the opposite of that. So like a white guy, American dude, being really racist on camera, like really like off the cuff. I don't like all these black guys in my neighborhood. Like something like that. It would be something along those lines. You'd be like, whoa, you don't do that. You don't commit suicide on TV like that. So...
Mel Gibson did a thing like that, and his career was ruined for about a decade.
Oh.
The thing is, these people think that this is the acceptable and good thing to do, because the thing with virtue signaling, if it's only that, is that the people virtue signaling will sometimes virtue signal about something that is objectively virtuous, but most of the time not, because it's random. It's only about whether they believe it is virtuous, but they never employ the actual virtue or even the fake thing. And in these cases, it is that they are made to believe that it is virtuous to punch down, stomp down, to look down onto a specific race category.
I think I just thought...
And they think that makes them the better racists, because they believe that being non-racist isn't even possible.
Yeah.
That's why they think they need to be racist in a direction that is okay by the ideology.
Because I say I'm not the fascist, I end up acting like the... Yeah, it's kind of stupid. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then if you use that logic that they have fully explained with why they are racist, why they have to be racist, and why they have to be sexist against men, because they perceive this historical sexism against women. So being anti-sexist means you are inverse sexist. And the same is true, thus, about the anti-fascists. They are not actually against fascism through these mechanics that are all the same in all these areas. They admit that they are not non-fascists, they're not against fascism, they are fascists just against other people. It is okay when they do it. That's the entire logic. It's the entire reason for all of this. It's all justification to be assholes.
To get back to the actual quote by Jessie, I think people who watched the last season of Lost or the last season of the Game of Thrones show, you can be depressed over that because you got something which ruined the show for you, and it would have been better if you didn't get anything, and you're all left in suspense of, well, where could it go? We don't know, but the show got canceled. And then you wouldn't be depressed. You'd just be anticipating something new. You'd be kind of angry maybe, and then you'd forget about it, but you'd still be one of those shows you really loved until the last season came by and ruined it. So,
but the positive example would be Farscape, with all of its writing flaws, but a very, very lovely science fiction show. And they didn't get renewed for final season, although they needed to conclude the plot. And that was then they did not, the studio did not, or the whoever was the decision makers there did not anticipate that there was a global fan base that was then pushing for making that final season, which turned out to be 4 little movies, OVAs in anime terms, that would conclude the story, which started with something really ridiculously stupid. But other than that, absolutely brilliant, wonderful ending to a beloved show.
And the best example of that is the Firefly series, what happened with the movie.
Oh.
So anyway, let's keep going. This is from Frog Jupiter. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Theater, kid, occupied, government, and media. Yeah.
I would also add one final thing. Smart posted in the group chat a table of how much these Disney shows cost, and cost per minute, and cost per episode, and season, etc., and cost per second, all of that stuff. And Andor was massively more expensive in total, and they did not promote it. They did promote the shit out of this crap. And I have said before, I believe that is because Andor was actual quality, and it is the least woke possible under the restrictions of Disney. So even though it's an actually good show, they ignored promote it. That cost a ton of money. They did not promote it. They promote all the crap. And it doesn't matter how much the crap costs. That is all burnt money.
All right, let's continue.
Speaks to our mainstream sort of storytelling and where it's going. So to start off, I hate that I have to say it this way, but like my opinions on Star Wars: The Acolyte, you can go and watch my reviews on it. I was deeply fascinated by it. I think Star Wars: The Acolyte had some of the most interesting ideas of any Star Wars show besides maybe Andor. And I would even argue it had better ideas than Andor on some levels. And I found it ultimately fascinating the way it was discussing, the Jedi as being space cops, as being, sort of space Catholics as well, elements of, neoliberal governmental control, agents of neoliberal governmental control, and sort of a mix of all of those things. And basically being very critical of the Jedi as
these are just random words.
Go play KOTOR. Like, it's way advanced, way far beyond anything the Acolyte came up with.
I'm fascinated by the Acolyte too. Like, how did they come up with this shit?
Most of the Disney Star Wars garbage is just badly recycled stuff from the expanded universe.
Well, they took that and then they ran with this concept called the High Republic, which is this weird universe they created, and they borrowed that and put that into the Acolyte somehow. And for whatever reason, it did not connect very well. You can guess why. So,
yeah, the underlying idea of the Jedi is rather founded in what Lucas vaguely knew about Buddhism and Taoism, not Catholicism. But that's also where the idea of restraining yourself comes from, because you don't have that in that sense in the Catholic school.
So they've ruined the Witches of Dathomir, they've ruined Anakin Skywalker, they've ruined Darth Plagueis for Wise, they've ruined Ki-Adi-Mundi, they've ruined Yoda, they've ruined Darth Sidious, they've ruined...
They ruined the Mandalorian too, though that is simply incompetence. That was not woke, that was just incompetence. They ruined Boba Fett.
Yeah, well, it was already there to be ruined.
They've retroactively ruined Korea, haven't they?
Well, not really.
With the thread, the power of bullshits and
this whole stuff, this whole witches nonsense in Acolyte. That's supposed to be reference or inspiration by Kreia, and that's just bad.
I find that hard to believe. I'd have to see a quote just to see if that's what's her face.
It won't be a quote.
Yeah,
you can. I've met people in the long past, in the before days, that, and it's usually women that staunchly believe in their own made up version of Star Wars 1. And she was in a relevant political position in some ministry, and not a social ministry, but a big one. And she told me that she thinks of herself as a grey Sith.
What?
And that is her ideology and way of life.
Sure. Whatever.
What does that mean?
Well, they ruined, as Threadnut was talking, they ruined Kenobi, they ruined Solo, all the big names, they just ruined them all. So it's just been, it's so funny that they've come up with all this content. It just sucks. And the Acolyte is the worst version of that. I think Ahsoka got some screen time for the sake of it. That was at least somewhat interesting for some people.
But also incompetent. That was purely you saw every problem that Filoni or Favreau, I never managed to figure out which is which, does in every of his shows. And that was that on steroids.
And as far as the concept of Jedi as space corps, well, there were simultaneously space corps and diplomats during what movies were those? The prequels.
Sorry.
This bitch never seen the prequels.
Anyway, 1 minute in.
Result. And also in some really cool ways of like talking about how they press all other groups outside of the Jedi as dark side, when there's very clear different ideological and philosophical difference between someone like the Sith and, you know, the Force Witches, who have very clear different ideologies. One more very collectivist, very
communists,
egalitarian, matriarchal.
Communists.
Whereas the Sith generally seems to be very patriarchal, aggressive, violent, militaristic.
No,
no.
The Sith are not patriarchal. The Sith are purely power-oriented. It's an insane cult of power. That through that, you again more often see males being the leaders should not surprise you. Even though the Force enhances your abilities in combat, does not mean that a man does not have a basic edge in terms of power, unless you're some weird alien species where it's the other way around, which isn't really a thing in Star Wars as far as I can tell. But that's why. Also because we're more used to evil men than portraying evil women. Evil women we usually portray as evil witches, where you get the Witches of Dathomir again from. That's not... The Sith aren't patriarchal, you dolt. Bloody hell.
I thought those are really interesting ideas being displayed within the Acolyte. Unfortunately, the Acolyte was just not very clear and concise and articulate in discussing those things, and was not. It wasn't very clear in getting to those ideas in a way I found to be deep. And so, you know, ultimately, while I liked the Acolyte and I liked its ideas, I found it to be a very frustrating show, but one I was ultimately really fascinated with, and one that I was really hoping would continue in a season 2, because number one, the show ended on not wrapping up any of its storylines, even though it very much could have, and leaving itself open for more discussions down the road.
And here you see already a basic error in writing, a fundamental one. You can have all these open threads, but you should have at least one story that concludes, which should be your main line, or that it at least gets to some milestone by the end. If you don't do that, all you have is drivel. This is not you. This shows like that are not Stargate SG-1, where you have an episodic thing where it doesn't even matter in which order you watch them, at least in the first seasons.
Fascinating. Like, Moreland Dorr himself coming in as a senator, I think had some of the most interesting ideas, despite him having only really one major scene in the entire show. I think he might have had another scene earlier, but like only one major scene in the show. And I'm like, I want to see more of that guy. I want to see more of that senator, because I'd be curious to see where that goes. And so, like, I was very much interested in a season 2 and wanted there to be a season 2. That said, all of this goes into the context of the absolute worst, shittiest, vilest rhetoric around the Acolyte that we have seen over and over and over again. The Acolyte became kind of one of there are these shows that can pop up in the mainstream that become big galvanizers of the sort of racist, vile hate from, certain segments of fandoms.
Oh, you mean yours?
I think a big one was like Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, that all galvanized around like, oh, the black dwarves in Middle Earth. How could there be that?
Because there aren't any. That's not how black dwarfs even work in mythology. Black dwarfs would be black, they would still, like all the other dwarves, they would not look like Africans. They would just be black. They would not be brown. They would be black, pitch black.
The problem with other, with other skin tones in the Rings of Power is it sort of implies an ethnic cleansing happened in Middle Earth.
Yes. In with the elves, with the hobbits, with the dwarves,
before Tolkien wrote anything.
Yeah, and that aside, that was not even the main problem. That was a symptom that played into the problem, and it did so deliberately because the problem was created deliberately because it was to change Lord of the Rings. It was to change Tolkien's work into this communist magic fantasy propaganda garbage. And that's what people despise. Propaganda doesn't sell, Jesse. It is the worst product to exist. It is an anti-product. Since you like anti-stuff so much, it is propaganda is an anti-product. People don't even want it if you give them money to take it.
Oh yeah, we've been seeing that recently with Dustborn.
Do you remember when The Last of Us 2 tried to inflate its numbers by just gifting it away en masse? And people who got it snuck into their purchases. There was this one Asian guy who was so mad at the game that he destroyed his disc.
I remember that. Yeah.
So that's what propaganda does, Jesse. People hate it so much because it's product fraud. In the end, it's product fraud. You're frauds.
That was right at the start of the game.
You gut out the substance of a thing and replace it with your ideology and your fetishes. And people don't like that. Yeah, they like their things with the substance.
As soon as Joel died, he got pissed off and chucked it. Yeah, I remember that. It's great. Anyway.
Oh, but here, look at my sex scene that is unskippable. That looks like gay men.
Remember, Ellie will be the only playable character in the game, and that's a promise. Also, you will never have to kill a dog. That's also a promise. Yeah, fuck off, Druckmann.
These people are always liars. Always.
Some whatever weird to fantasy nonsense. And the Acolyte was one of those too. And it kind of goes something to the YouTuber Sarah Z said, is that these people really like to find pieces of media that have things that you could understandably criticize about it, like the Acolyte.
And we did.
Wait, did it just skip?
Yeah,
or
she's doing cuts.
Cut together.
Yeah, she's doing cuts because she had a bad take, so she has to clean it up.
God.
Yeah, talking off the cuff doesn't work so well with some people. That's how it goes.
And then to cut yourself off mid-sentence, did you say a naughty? Or why is that? Are you just
wait,
editing?
That wasn't mid-sentence, that was mid-word.
Anyway.
You know, when you edit these things, you can actually see the audio thing, how it looks visually, and you can actually see when the word is over, because after the words there's silence, and so you can cut there, so you don't cut inside the word. Jesse, what is wrong with you?
There's things I criticize about as well. Though I'm really excited for season 2, but not a great show overall. And a lot of things worth criticizing about it, but use those reasonable criticisms to justify going into their other bigotry. It's like, well, this thing is bad.
That's what is being done.
How
you destroy the story, then we also point out these other bullshit things that you do deliberately, and then you frame it as if we only complain about the black dwarf and the black elf.
I want to know how that's bigotry. Like, what exactly makes someone a bigot by criticizing a bad show for its bad elements? Like, what's the problem with that? We can't see the good.
That's not Jesse's point. Jesse gaslights that the critics of these bad shows, of these woke propaganda shows, are not criticizing the overall problems, like the bad writing, the bad plot ideas, the bad character writing, but only like, oh, this character has the wrong skin color.
Really?
And that's the lie, because people criticize all these other things, then also note, and they did not even respect the law to the point where they made Africans into dwarves and elves, which makes absolutely no sense. And that's all that the SJWs focus on, because they can't make any other argument. They have to deny the real criticism.
Well,
it's basically like the South Park movie, Operation Human Shield and Operation Get Behind Darky.
Oh, well, I do recall people showed me a clip of the Acolyte where the Acolyte kills Carrie-Anne Moss in the first episode, and then later on in the series, the droid is telling her how to kill Jedi, and the droid specifically says you can't kill Jedi with blades or steel or something. And I'm like, is that supposed to be funny? Is that ironic? Like, what does that mean? Like, it clearly happened. Like the first episode, you can't kill a Jedi.
These people never see the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this weird little thing. Is like, did someone not like write the show first and then do episode like the later episodes and throw that in there and not make reference like, hey, wait a second, no, I totally killed a Jedi with a sword or a knife or whatever. It's like the most stupidest thing you could say, like, you cannot do this, and then no, it intrinsically happened by everyone's standards, by everyone's eyeballs. We saw it happen, but apparently no. So either make like a writer should then change the story. Go, okay, we got to make this a thing now because I created a hole, or I created a secret that the audience knows is false. And if they don't address that, then you screwed up. You cannot do that. So anyway,
and you can Jedi can be off guard. They stumble. It happens.
Right. So I want to know what, like, I wanted if you're going to talk about how to kill a Jedi, because we had that all in KOTOR. It was a beautiful scene with Rand, with the pilot of the
Rand, counting Pazak cards in his head.
Right. Yeah, he's doing he has all these mental games he plays. He knows how to get behind a Jedi. Like, he kills Jedi. There's an art form to it. There's a certain mental discipline. I want to get into that because that's what the Acolyte does. And if the robot goes, yeah, you can't do it, it's like, well, no, she just did. What are you talking? Like, who wrote these stupid rules? So there has to be some intelligence in contradicting the narrative. And then you have to, you at least have to address it. This is what's called lampshading. You have, or sweeping it under the rug. So you have to address it.
That would be hard to write.
Yeah, really.
And these are not smart people writing this. They're very bad. They're very dumb people writing this. So they just throw that all away, ignore that if they even heard of it, and write their own stupid shit that they can handle.
It's like,
and you can't even say that. Oh, it's just because they're stupid women. No, they're just stupid people.
Imagine
a lot of them are women, but we've had wonderful women in media that have written amazing stuff. The what was her name? The one that did the first Last of Us and the Uncharted.
Oh, Amy Koenig, was it, or Henning? Amy Henning. So that's one example. Another one, I don't remember her name, but she wrote the early Tom Hanks comedy The Burbs. Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a female writer.
Oh.
Watched it last week with Rabbit and Ferret, and everybody loved the movie because it kind of went under, and everybody was like, "That's a very young Tom Hanks. He's so young." And that was 1989. And Japanese examples. Full Metal Alchemist, Ranma Half, Demon Slayer, all women.
Well,
some of the greatest media of all time on the planet.
Well, think of...
So women can write, it's just not these women.
Think of the first scene in Dune where we see, was it Gurney fighting, not Leto, Paul, fighting Paul with the shields, right? And Paul slowly penetrates the shield with a knife. But we don't know that. And then later on in the story, someone tells Paul, yeah, you can't penetrate shields with a slow knife. It's like, what? No, we just saw it. And like, that's the equivalent of what happened in The Acolyte. And if the story doesn't address that, you have a huge plot hole. The whole concept of shields is thrown out the door, of attacking. Like, everything's toast. So, and that's what happened. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, this show is not even worth considering if they can't cover up their own asses, and that's what we got. So anyway,
also never read the Dune books past
God.
book 3 unless you want to lose your mind at unfinished writing that was written by a demented narcissistic idiot that is probably not Frank Herbert unless he had a stroke and kept writing.
Right.
And don't read to the 6th book, because there he gushes about positively that the Bene Gesserit are actually subservient to the space Jews from the planet Secret Israel.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's not get into Dune.
I'm not making this up. I'm still trying to process this, what I read there.
All right. Let's keep going.
It's insane.
About Jedi being immune to knives and bullets and whatever, I think the only one of the 6 Star Wars movies, so out of the entire, every single movie, the only one to not have a Jedi die is Empire Strikes Back. Every single other one, a Jedi dies.
Oh.
At least one Jedi dies.
Interesting. Okay. Let's continue.
You can kill Jedi
because they have black doors, or because they're trying to hate. And so it's why you don't see something like Andor getting as much hate, because Andor, I think, was a much tighter work of art. But it also did have lesbians. It also did have a fairly diverse cast. But because it was a much tighter show...
why were the lesbians in Andor?
What does he mean by tighter show? Is it's better written? It's more succinct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, it's well written.
So as Jesse's saying, Andor's a better show, that's why people aren't criticizing as much. It's like, no shit. That's what it's... Because it's good, people don't dislike it. It's like, thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, why were the lesbians in that show?
Oh, no.
The thing that's good isn't criticized as much. Ingenious.
There were women. There were a lot of female characters and integrated into a culture and all of that. But lesbians?
It's like we're getting to the sense of quality in criticism, and Jesse's like, I can't connect the dots yet, but there must be this thing that people like. What is that called?
Does she mean...
And that's not saying it's okay. They use like reasonable justification or criticisms to justify their bigotry and hate.
In Andor, for example? Where? When was this?
My mind was still distracted by figuring out who the lesbians in Andor were.
Well, apparently there's.
What did Jesse say now?
Apparently, the quality of Andor is so high that they're distracted by it, but they can't. They still admit that they have bigotry and hate towards it, and I'm like, what?
What? Who?
I don't know.
Most of the main reason why people skipped it was because of the bad AK-47 prop. Which was really unnecessary to be such a cheap prop.
What's the bigotry towards Andor? Does anyone know? Or hatred?
No, there is none.
Yeah?
There is none. Most people haven't watched it because they had already given up watching Disney Star Wars. I had to be convinced to watch it.
Yeah, that's true.
And after I did, I thought, what the hell did I just watch? This was amazing.
I'll watch it when I start caring about the MCU again.
Oh God.
Oh God. Dude, seriously.
What is frustrating is I see Kathleen Kennedy get all this vile hate, and yet I also do think she has mismanaged this franchise, because at every turn...
Wait a second. You see her get hate, and I think she's mismanaged this franchise. Jesse.
Man, I wonder why Kathleen Kennedy gets hate.
Are you understanding the words that come right out of your mouth as soon as you say them? Because this is getting weird.
Was this the same sentence?
No. It was a sentence right after that, though.
Okay.
Rewind. Was there a cut there?
Sure, we'll rewind it.
To justify their bigotry and hate. What is frustrating is I see Kathleen Kennedy get all this vile hate, and yet I also do think she has mismanaged this franchise, because
no, it's one sentence.
It was not cut.
It's one sentence. There's an and. It's one sentence.
So
this is double think.
So comma and or period and. Okay, whatever. It's fine.
No. This is but that's one sentence, Smud. This is double think. Jesse
sentences.
is holding two contradicting thoughts in that hollow head at the same time, and does not have any sign of any cognitive dissonance, any lapse in thought. It's just a smooth ride. That's doublethink.
Oh, God.
This is insanity. This is your brain on communism.
A positive plus a negative equals a negative in sentence logic. It's like, okay.
Fine. These bigots, when she cancels the Acolyte, when they shift from the reaction from The Last Jedi to the nonsense, nostalgic bullshit that is The Rise of Skywalker, they are continually justifying these asshats. What
are you talking? How? They're not watching the show, Jesse. If they're not watching the show, how are they involved with the low numbers? Like, what are you talking about?
There's like 10 people on YouTube that watch this and tell us all how bad it is, and that's why nobody watches it, because it's more entertaining to watch it through the critics.
I don't like. Everyone's saying it sucks, but they don't watch it. It's like, yeah, because other people who have watched it says it sucks, and we go, yeah, we don't want to watch crap, and we'll agree with that because why waste our time?
It's like the Willow Crab show that was so bad that I decided to pull it off so that nobody would see the crap anymore.
This is kind of the opposite
because it's a stain
of episode 8, because everyone saw episode 8 and everyone knew it sucked, but you have those few critics like, oh, this is the best Star Wars ever because it's so different. And you're like,
Shields.
Different in the sense that everything sucked worse? Like, what are you talking about?
Paid shields, activists, anti-insane.
Oh, God, dude, this is silly. They're horrible people because they never watched it. It's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, like Enigma says in the chat, people are bigots because Kathleen Kennedy made Star Wars into a terrible franchise and don't like her for it.
Anyway.
I worry for the state of this franchise and other ones. We'll talk about Star Trek in a minute too.
Why?
Is how they are going to try to just kind of continually to make milquetoast content that again justifies the bigots' desires.
What are you talking about? You just said it's milquetoast. How is someone a bigot for criticizing something which is mediocre?
It's mind reading and projection.
How does that translate? If they make a story with lots of, I don't know, lesbian content, and the bigots come out because they dislike lesbians, you're like, okay, you got some issues with content. I get it.
I've got some news for you. Men really like lesbians.
Yeah, I know.
Women also really like lesbians. So when you make a show with lesbians in it that men and women don't like, you are the problem.
But they're also bigots. Anyway, let's just keep going.
People shocked at like the reaction to the Acolyte and being like, wouldn't you want more diverse Star Wars? Wouldn't you want more Star Wars projects out there? And the answer is no, because what these bigots want.
What are you talking? It's always been diverse. Every single Star Wars has aliens of every stripe. Things we don't even know what
they're not. Smart. They're not African American aliens.
Oh yeah, really? What are they? Yeah. Rainbow dragons? Yeah.
That's their problem. It's not African American aliens. Oh. That's the entire problem. It all needs to be African Americans.
All right.
And they will argue that when they want something, when they want it to be diverse, they will at the same time argue it was not diverse enough, so we must make it more diverse. And it was always diverse because you had all these aliens. It will always be the very argument they need in the moment, even though both arguments are contradicting each other. It doesn't matter because both are in favor of doing the thing they want to do. These are not logical people, Smut. These are emotional arguments, not rational arguments.
I'm getting tired of calling people names constantly. Like
Jessie isn't.
Jessie has called people bigots at least 4 times in this 5 minutes, and I'm like,
I think we're close to a dozen.
It's getting stupid. Just say they are X, and here's the proof, and they keep coming back to X, or they keep coming back to X1. Like, great, thank you. Keep going.
Jessie doesn't realize to be driven by hate, and thus projects that everybody who doesn't like what Jessie likes must be hating what Jessie likes for no reason other than because Jessie likes it.
And the concept of being a bigot means you can't perceive other opinions other than your own. It's like you've admitted the show is bad to mediocre.
which means that Jessie is projecting, because that's what Jessie is doing.
And if it's like mediocre, I have the right to slam it, even if it's mediocre to you. That means there's something wrong with it, regardless of size or scale. But I'm a bigot because I can't see your nuanced approach to one guy you liked in one episode for 30 seconds you enjoyed. That's like
we're all bigots. We're all bigots for not liking what Jessie likes.
Yeah, it's like
because we all must think like Jessie. We all must like the things Jessie likes and hate the things Jessie hates.
The Bing or the maraschino cherry on top of my horrible chocolate fudge sundae is garbage, but the cherry is amazing. I'm like, I will say the cherry is amazing, but that doesn't mean I'm ever going to buy that horrible cake again or pie again. So this is a silly nuance that Jessie is just throwing out the door. My opinion is nuanced, but I'm not going to care about that or realize that other people don't have my tastes or my perspective. I'll just throw it the door and call these guys bigots for whatever reason, because we don't even know why. We don't even know why she's calling them bigots. There's lesbians, yeah. So
they don't stories that center marginalized perspectives. They don't.
No, we don't care. We don't. It doesn't bother us.
They're shitty stories.
Perspective of a black person, of a queer.
Those are not stories. You never write stories. You only put in character and you invent oppressed background for character. That's all you do. These characters do not, pseudo characters do not have stories. You're not telling any such stories. Yeah. You're only giving the beats of a writing fetish.
This is like
when you read stories, they have exactly those beats.
This is like Roddenberry back in the 60s. When he's like, hey, what do we try an alien with 3 eyes? Or what do we try 4 arms? Like stupid ideas. And the guys that were working with Gene were like, hey, Gene, that's not an idea. That's not a character. You're just making a prop, and then you're going to sell it as, oh, we're progressive. We're having black and white women or whatever working together. Like, that's not a story. That's just stuff that you put together. That doesn't. The one time he did do it, it was Turnabout Intruder, where he had the one guy with the black face on his left and the one guy with the black face on his right.
That ham-fisted story.
It was ham-fisted, but it was so bloody obvious. You have to be a complete idiot not to get it. And people loved it because, oh yeah, it's so progressive. Like, yeah, sure, whatever. Simple story. Got through the day. And it told a message. And that was like, fine.
And I think that's the one way, if you do it ham-fisted, that's the one way to do it well. Voyager did. I think it was Voyager that did a similar thing with gold and silver robots.
That
fought the proxy war on behalf of the civilization.
Oh yeah.
That didn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, Voyager has those great. It's kind of like seasons 1 and 2 of Star Trek. It has these really great episodes and these really dumb episodes, and that's been like the 7 years it was on, or the 5 or so. I can't remember how long it was on. And the best episode people critiqued or scored, I don't know how they did this, but it was called The Year of Hell. And The Year of Hell was this amazing story of like Voyager going through this crazy anomaly and fighting this time-traveling villain. And at the end, it equivocates to it was all a dream. This amazing story of conflict and tribulations and people dying. And oh my God. Oh, turn back time, all a dream. Never happened.
Because the producers insisted that Voyager remain episodic, even though it made no sense for a single ship with limited resources on its track, alone.
And I compare that to the Enterprise show, which had a similar called the Xindi arc, which I think was 7 episodes, or it was pretty long. And they also had a time traveling villain, but they blew up Florida, like 6 million people died or whatever it was. Like there's huge stakes. All these people are dying. The whole quadrant is going to be taken over by these intergalactic aliens, like all these crazy things. There was this species that had like 6 kinds of phenotypes called the Xindi. It was really cool, like so science fiction.
That one Enterprise, not Voyager.
Yeah, I'm comparing it to Enterprise. I'm comparing because they both involve time travel. They both involve these big stories that all this conflict happens, and that ended with with Archer going back in time and having a Nazi alien wake him up. It's like what the hell? It was so wild.
But
anyway.
But the little tidbit for anyone who didn't know, the Year of Hell episode, that was supposed to be an entire season.
Really? It was so good.
Yeah, that was supposed to be stretched out into an entire season.
That's what Voyager should have been. It should have been
the writers.
Harrowing story.
Yeah, and the writers always wanted to do this stuff where the crew evolves, where they get new crew members and some leave. The episode where what was it, the 49ers on this planet where there were these abducted humans from all the decades. That was supposed to be a big crew shift. That's why so many of these civilians from there had such fleshed out characters. They were supposed to join the crew.
With the Amelia Earhart,
people like Tom Paris would leave the ship because he's in his dream time.
That whole episode felt like a really good science fiction short story, and the only conflict was right the last 10 minutes. Are they going to leave? Everything else was just fun stuff, and then the real conflict is, are they going to leave? And then the last scene of the show, no one's there. So and you're like, oh, that's it? It's a cute little episode. You're like, that's fine, but it's something you would read in a serial. It's something you would read on like a TV Saturday morning cartoon sort of thing for a small animation, whatever. And it's like, oh, okay.
Do you remember the episode? I think it was 2 episodes with the dinosaur people.
Oh,
they were descended from Earth's dinosaurs.
Those were awesome.
And ended up in the Delta Quadrant. Yes,
that was the best.
I love that. That is so amazingly told. And that professor, the dinosaur professor, he was supposed to join the crew. The writers wanted him to join the crew. They didn't get a green light for it with the excuse that the makeup would be too expensive. Or too much of a hassle.
The Hirogen, those guys are awesome.
The Hirogen were also good. The thing is with the dinosaur guy, you wouldn't just have the face slightly changed with a mask on, but you would also have the hands and everything else.
Yeah.
And apparently, even though Farscape was doing it with Zan, who was in complete body paint, and the Dargo was basically having a full body makeup suit. No, Voyager couldn't do it.
Yeah. And
it's all just stupid excuses because the producers still thought we need to make it episodic, even though it makes no sense. Last thing that I forgot the name, the little ship that was also stranded in the Delta Quadrant with a much tinier crew than Voyager, had enslaved these ghosts as an energy source. Yeah, that was the idea of where Voyager would go over time.
Yeah.
That the ship breaks down more, you lose crew, you make these cuts in these you hold the ship together with duct tape. And instead, how does the show end? We get time-traveling Janeway who gives super tech to the Voyager that somehow auto-replicates extra armor that engulfs the ship at random, like Kid from Knight Rider. Like, fuck you.
And the Borg always had this transwarp conduit that went so far that they blew it up. It's like, whoa, we found this magical conduit that goes straight to the Alpha Quadrant. It's like, really? Thank you, Borg. We'll blow it up for you now. A lot of stupid shit happened in Voyager. It was bad writing.
And the ideas, if as insane as Roddenberry's ideas were for TNJ, which they thankfully didn't do, the ideas that were there for Voyager, that would have been a Star Trek for the ages. That is a thing that everybody would have gotten back down, buy all the box sets, watch it from beginning to end every other year.
I think Berman was really pushing Voyager over DS9. They said that Voyager would have been a better, or is a better show than DS9 because of whatever reason, and they put more money into it and went on longer.
DS9 has the thing is, Voyager is a very smooth watching. It's a very stable quality in how it's made and how it's written. DS9 has the one problem that it has, when it has ups, it has really high ups. peak writing. What was In the Pale Moonlight is this absolute brilliant, probably best episode of all of Star Trek. And then you have the worst of the worst episodes, the worst writing at the same time, all in the same show, all in the same season, every time. And that's what makes DS9 a bit difficult.
I would say the last few seasons of DS9 were actually, because they focused. After the first 2 seasons, it was kind of like, what is this show? And then they decided to focus on... Sorry?
Yeah, and then they just wrote Gul Dukat into stupidity and insanity after he made sense the whole damn time, and now he's just insane and dumb.
He turned into a religious zealot, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have a Dragon Ball energy beam fight at the end.
That was...
Fuck you.
Oh, the paw race. What a stupid idea.
That was so dumb.
Anyway. Back to Just Gender, another fun topic. Yeah.
You can write stuff
the
well.
Acolyte was doing. And being like, look, we like other shows that have black characters in it. And it's like, the point isn't that you dislike black characters, though you do hate black characters and you send harassment.
Fuck off. No, fuck you. This is I hate this double talk. It's not that you don't like this, but actually, yes, you do. It's like, no, say exactly what you mean the first time. Don't have this...
Smart. Let's be honest. We always hated Uhura. We always hated Cisco. We always hated Worf. We always hated Tuvok. We always hated Lando Calrissian. We always hated Blade. We always hated any character that Eddie Murphy ever played. We hate Morgan Freeman. We hate
Ice Cube on CSI.
Wait, I already said Wesley Snipes in a way.
I'll be completely honest. I did hate Lando Calrissian when I was a child, but the older I got, the more I could empathize with him, and the more I like him as a character.
Well, because as a child, you just see this sleazy guy who gives off this vibe of I can't trust this guy, but it's not because of his skin color. It's because he's sleazy.
And also he betrays his best friend.
Yeah. So why would you like him? You can't. You don't know when he's on your side and when he's. That's the problem.
Growing up, you actually get to see some of the pressures under a bit more clearly, and you actually understand, and is a really well written character, and
but the childish reaction is actually good. Is actually to write one initially when you're still a young and naive person, because you need to learn to distrust people who give you red flags, so that you don't get into the van because somebody gave you candy.
And he is basically the only diversity hire in the entire Star Wars saga, all 6 movies.
Was he a diversity hire?
Yeah. They were, because there were people complaining about how black people couldn't fight against the evil empire. So
they already made this dumb argument back then. That is so pathetic.
Yeah.
That is so. You Americans are so racist because you think that people can't see themselves through the struggles of other people just because they don't look like them. That is so narcissistic. That is so insane. And it is simply racist, because you basically say these people of this other skin color, they're too dumb to be able to do this. Horrible.
He's basically the only diversity hire for all 6 movies, and people don't mind because he's actually given a really good role. Is actually really well written.
Anyone know any other great black characters and actors that we actually hate? Like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle. We also hate those apparently because they're black. Even though they get attacked by SJWs because they make fun of the woke shit. Denzel Washington, thank you. We also hate Denzel Washington.
What's that big guy called? Him who played I can't think of what there's been in other than Daredevil as a race swapped Kingpin.
Oh, what's his name? Yeah, he died. Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, it was about a decade ago now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Was he in the Green Mile? I can't remember if that was him.
Yeah, I think it was. It might have been.
Oh, I just thought of Michael J. White. He was a pretty cool actor, martial artist.
Yeah, we brought up Eddie Murphy, Kinga.
Yeah. No, there's so many actors we enjoy. Like, we don't think in terms of... Like, we have to actually stop and think. Like, we don't think in terms of race anyway, so it's like, all right, who...
I lost all respect for Will Smith before the slap because of Oscar's So White. I just lost all respect for him because of that.
Oh yes, right. We hate Mr. T and Samuel L. Jackson, and we also hate Spawn.
That's Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson.
All right, let's keep going.
Tiag. We also hate Tiag.
We're Christopher.
Yeah. Yes, for Judge.
Yeah.
Ilk.
I hate him not because
Thank you, Jesse, for reminding me of how many people I hate, because I didn't even realize I hated them. I always thought I loved these characters and actors for what they do on screen and what they make. Christopher Judge wrote some of the Stargate episodes, even.
Yeah, I think he did 2 of them. I'm not sure, but I know one of them was. At least one of them was the one with the 3 Jafar women, because he was bragging about writing a scene where he got to kiss that woman.
Yeah, I was going to say Terrence Carson, just because Christopher reminded me of Kratos, because that was the original voice of Kratos before 2016 or
that replacement was unnecessary.
It was, but he did a good job.
Then all of the Norse God of War was unnecessary because it wasn't God of War. I will stand by that. It's the same as this Disney Star Wars.
Anyway,
hold on, Jackie Chan's not black.
We can go on and on. We can go on and on.
No. Wait, but we hate him because he's Chinese.
Oh God, we can go on and on about characters who are ethnically background differently than white. We can do it all day. But I just find this mentality by Jesse sick and tiresome, because all you're doing is accusing people you disagree with or are different than you as something. And it's I'm just tired of it. It's why even listen to someone like Jesse if they're going to do that? It makes no sense.
Black characters, even in shows that you like, but their overall underlying attempt is to try to control and dominate the mainstream culture conversation. The idea that only they get to be heroes. The idea that only they get to have their perspective centered. Because looking at The Acolyte, it is a show that is trying to center a differing perspective on the hegemonic culture of the Jedi. And as a result, a different perspective on the hegemonic culture of Star Wars and our...
I think evil manipulative witches that play around with the forces of life to be heretical enough to the sacredness of life that the Jedi are justified in fighting them.
I also find it strange and weird that a Jedi Master would die to a girl with a knife. It just doesn't make too much sense to me. And to see the level, I don't know if you guys saw that level of force blast that the dude with the helmet did to like 12 Jedi, and they all just like flew back, and it was like, what the hell? How strong is this dude? And why is he struggling with like a lightsaber or whatever?
I'm only more convinced at this point that Star Wars would have gone the better route of stupid if it had canonized the Force Unleashed and had gone full Dragon Ball Z.
Really?
If it had just done that, it would be stupid, it would be silly fun, but it would be less bad than what these people did to
you would see like Vader like controlling a Star Destroyer coming down, and he's like, yeah, I just pushed it to the side of my mind. Like, yeah, sure.
Hey, it was actually straining to pull down the Star Destroyer.
Yeah, I know. It would have been silly.
But in the expanded universe, you have Jedi moving planets.
Yeah, I know, it's kind of stupid.
And black holes.
I'm just stuck on the these people, they don't like seeing anyone who doesn't look like them as the hero. So, let me be honest, my favourite Grand Theft Auto game is San Andreas, where I'm not a black guy. I'm some white guy from Europe, and your players in San Andreas are black guy. That's my favorite GTA game. My favorite GTA story. It's fantastic. My least favorite GTA game is the one where you play as a white guy from Europe, GTA 4.
Cousin!
I fucking hate it. I hate it so fucking much.
Yeah.
I hate it.
There's a big difference between being a gangbanger named CJ and being was he ex-military?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so CJ, he doesn't even start off as a gangbanger. He starts off as someone who escaped that life and made a living for himself on the East Coast, and he were doing well enough, but then he got dragged into a life of crime by some people who just wanted to wipe out his family for reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a proposal. These SJWs, they always go on about black culture, but they don't actually make black culture. They just make urban black redneck nonsense. Mm-hmm. Never actual African black culture, because it's not about real black culture. It is about destroying whatever is there. And if they propped up real African culture, they would prop up a real culture. The black urban redneck culture is not a real culture. And I don't know how many millions I would need, but if you want to, I'll get started. I'll get together a team somehow, and we'll make a game about Shango from the Orisha pantheon in Africa, which is, think of African 4. He's basically the equivalent god to that. And it will be amazing. And it will be African, and it will be real African, and it will be bloody cool. And then the SJWs will accuse us of cultural appropriation because Europeans made it. Just like they accused the people who made Ghost of Tsushima of cultural appropriation when they made that game, even though Japan loved it. And now they complain about the Japanese for not liking Assassin's Creed Shadows because it is real cultural appropriation by pushing some black nobody into propped up as some superhero who gets to slaughter Japanese people without end as a game.
Yes,
so let's make something real, because these people always put up double binds. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The only right answer to a double bind is to ignore the double bind and just do what is objectively right.
All right.
I'm kind of excited about that hypothetical game now.
Thank you. Spread the word. I'm gonna make it, and maybe if it spreads, somebody else gonna make it. Doesn't matter. But let's make something cool.
All right.
I'm just a fan of mythology in general, so yeah, that's something really interesting.
6 minutes.
A world that Star Wars is very government that George Lucas really wanted to go after, especially in the prequels, that the Acolyte is very much pulling from. And our perspective on that hegemonic culture is very distinct and different. And so to have a mainstream work of art center that perspective that is differing from the hegemonic culture threatens these people a lot. And if you go and listen to a lot of the rhetoric from these channels, you'll find them talking a lot about myth. Like these stories ruin our myths. Like Star Wars is meant to be our cultural myth of our heroes and our villains, and they decay and corrupt that by having shows like The Acolyte. And what they're really saying is that by having a perspective outside of the hegemonic norm, the centering it, putting it into the mainstream, having it be something that is propped up and centered, is threatening to the overall cultural message of, white men being the heroes, white men being the center.
This is dumb. This is... I'm quite sure
this is it's a magical world in Jesse's head.
Yeah, I'm quite sure we had
this
Princess Leia since episode 4 being a hero. And, that was a big part of the trio. We had a big, hairy, giant man as a dog who was also a hero. Like, no, we had all kinds of heroes that weren't just white guys. If you want to consider Darth Vader a white guy, sure, but he was a big evil dude. Is that good?
He's a Morg. He's smart. He's a Morg. Don't be racist. He's a Morg. Half man, half dog.
for Chewbacca. It's just like it's okay to have the big evil, the two big evil white guys. That's okay, hegemony, and to overthrow them. That's okay. but you can't have Han Solo and Luke Skywalker because that's also white guys. Like, what is the problem? Like, do you want two black guys to fight two black guys? Like, what's the?
Yeah, it's like the thing that only women are allowed to beat up other women. Women are only allowed to be beaten up by women. And the thing with Vader is so crazy because since Vader he's not simply a man. He is an amalgamation of several actors to create this larger than life being. Because they always go on about, but he was voiced by a black man. Yeah. But they forget that instantly when it's about this topic. That's what I mean. It's always they flip-flop however they need it.
It's just silly. Like, the hegemonic blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that got overthrown.
Yeah. It was voiced... so it was voiced by a black man because I think it's because the Yorkshire accent wasn't threatening enough.
It was the British bodybuilder, the guy who played the actor. Yeah, he was a big guy. Yeah.
Obviously, we hate him because he's black. So we hate Vader because he was voiced by a black man.
Oh,
Vader's we can't love Vader for how awesome of a character Vader is in his full glory.
The ridiculous depiction of the Emperor, as ham-fisted and silly as it was. That's bad because it's a white guy.
But wasn't Palpatine played by a woman in the first thing?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was because it was so much costume that you didn't see it. It's irrelevant.
That's funny.
Because I think it was just this hologram.
It was a female?
I haven't seen that in so long.
A woman?
Yeah, but it's easier to depict somebody being thin and frail because that's what he's as being a grey eminence. He's supposed to come across as old and frail and thin.
All right.
But strangely enough, that can give a character more power when that character is actually behind everything, because it's this. It gives you this idea that this is this ancient evil that you never come into direct contact with, but it is everywhere. It is always there.
And Yoda being a tiny little midget alien
creature. At least a counter to that.
There's just so much diversity in Star Wars. Oh, it's a hegemony of what? We have the Princess of Alderaan calling the shots. She's got white generals. She's got Mon Mothma. She's got that crazy other general, the fish guy. It's just
she complained about being rescued too late.
So
from the ultimate spaceship space station thing, the size of a small moon.
Anyway.
So small corrections. Mon Mothma wasn't one of Leia's subordinates. Leia was one of Mon Mothma's subordinates. Yeah, Mon Mothma
Leia just plays a more active role.
Okay.
Mon Mothma was always in the background. And that's the great thing about Andor, where you get to actually see her story in all of this.
And there's only one line people remember from Mon Mothma as well, and that's many Boffins died to get this information.
Yeah. Smart, have you seen Andor by now?
No, I haven't gotten around to it.
Do it, you'll like it.
I know, but I just very rarely watch TV, and it's only Disney Plus when my cousins come over, and even then we're watching God knows what cartoons.
Do you know what downloads are?
Yeah, I have that for games. I play games. There's so many games. Well, I'm not playing a lot of games, honestly. Like, I just got Fallout 2, and I was like, oh my god, I could barely see the screen.
Just take your time this weekend. You watch the first episode.
I'll get around to it. Anyway,
get a whiskey. It's a good whiskey show.
I am happy with the summertime, going out and enjoying life. So I've been pretty lax when it comes to finishing up that review of Fallout. So I gotta.
Okay. I'll bug you again when summer is over.
I know. It's probably a better... When it gets colder in Toronto weather, it's wet and freezing, and then I'll stay indoors more. Yeah, that'll happen. It'll happen. I'll get it done. I'm just saying. I'm enjoying life. Anyway, 7 minutes. Halfway done.
or just the hegemonic culture always needing to perpetuate itself over and over again and can have no criticisms. It just needs to constantly repeat. The stories like this are threatening to that. And so, what I worry with the Star Wars franchise is that it is going to ultimately just make itself milquetoast to just constantly repeat.
It's been that way for years, Jesse. Where have you been? Since episode 7.
That's why people don't like it.
It's been bad for almost a decade.
Star Wars is a fundamental story, a fundamental story of humanity, of tyranny versus freedom, and corruption versus virtue.
If you look
with fancy electronic-looking gadgets in space, that's all. If
you look at the canon since episode 7 came out, and in between episode 7 there was like Solo and a bunch of other crap that came out. The canon has been constantly increasing every year with streaming services since episode 6, episode 3. So to say he's scared or she's scared of becoming milquetoast, it's like, where have you been if you think episode 7 was good?
Yeah, and I hate to be that reductive, but that's the problem. That's why the new stuff is milquetoast, because it doesn't really adhere to that. It's a caricature, a bad caricature, a bad imitation of what Star Wars was, with bigger budgets, but with less essence.
There are reasons why I can go back and watch Casablanca again and other really old films with like Peter Lorre and Sidney Greenstreet and all those crazy guys like Humphrey Bogart, all those crazy 50s and 60s flicks that are classic. There's reasons. It's like, wow, I can relate to 1940s scenarios, maybe because I read a lot of Agatha Christie, and those are always in the 30s and 40s, but they're human stories. It doesn't really matter when you read them. People are going to be greedy. People are going to be prideful. People are going to be all kinds of negative levels of sin. And you can go, oh, I get why they're doing that. With Star Wars, I'm like, it's an alien. Why is the robot the most human person or character in the story as opposed to the actual characters? Why is that?
Rogue One?
Rogue One is a great example, yeah.
And as you said, the original Shogun show from the 80s, I could watch that again and again because it is so well made, such amazing dialogue. It is well written through and through. It is done with deep care for every detail. I could never rewatch the Shogun remake, which is a complete destruction of the original. The same, I could watch every few years the in 80 Days Around the World show. There's like 6 episodes, I believe, with Pierce Brosnan as Phileas Fogg. Absolutely adorable.
Like, look at the classic episodes of Star Trek, even TNG and the old ones, like Best of Both Worlds, Time Zero, Tapestry, like all these really good shows that you've seen a dozen times. It's like, why are they so good? You know what's going to happen. There's no excitement. You just like, okay. You still tear up when Picard plays that penny flute after all those. It's like, he had a lifetime. He had a family, and it was all gone. And it wasn't really his, but that was the way that alien race told the story of their planet. Please remember us. You were one of us. Like, wow, that's science fiction. That's beautiful. What do we get in The Acolyte? A black girl who has a genetic twin sister, and she's angry, so she kills people. Like, that's it. That's the story. I'm like, what do I, like, how does that? The Jedi killed one of the Jedi was too stupid to levitate 2 little girls because he tried to levitate a whole bridge, and he's an idiot. So he had to choose one girl over the other. Like, really?
Obviously, because that that wouldn't have been a problem either way.
It's like this is stupid writing for stupid conflicts that could have been. Anyone above the age of above the age of 10. Let's say 10, who gives the entire episode, the entire season of The Acolyte, and go, let's look at the script. Tell me where it screws up. If you read and just get a big red marker and just circle the paragraphs as it goes. How would you change that to make sense and make your brain go, oh, I can understand what's going on?
It's like it's similar to the eternal writings, and especially of the West, where the plot only happens because people do not tell each other relevant information that they all know, and they spend hours and days and weeks with each other. We especially see this in shows where you have adventurers traveling together. Willow had that same problem because fast forward, I don't know how long they walked, several days at the least, and we cut to the scene where finally one of the characters wants to say the thing, but then gets cut off again, and nobody has the information shared, and all the troubles happen because that one thing wasn't shared. And I hate that writing. It's pathetic. It's pathetic excuses for conflict.
This is why you would probably enjoy Vonnegut, because he does not have secrets in his stories. He has twists, but all of his stories, he hates mystery. He just says, I'm going to just tell them what's going on, or the character is going to do it. And it just happens. And you're like, oh, boom, action. Even if it's...
Stanislav Lem does that too.
I'm used to mystery because that's the nuance of a scene when a woman doesn't tell everyone, or the cop, or the...
Yeah, but you have to write that well.
Oh yeah, it takes a good chapter to build tension and nuance and should I, shouldn't I? Like that's great. That's great stuff. But because Vonnegut is like freaking in an alternate world where all of humanity is destroyed and the lobster people come and evolve. It's like, oh my god, how does that? Like you can't just do that.
Oh, that's where Doctor Who stole that from?
Yeah, probably.
A good example of the not sharing information to which contributes to the plot, which is well written, but it has reason, is Dark City. Because you can't tell the main character everything. For one, because there are he's constantly on the run, so there's not enough time to reveal the great secret, because it's in at first incomprehensible secret, and even once the main character and other characters get closer to it, they still need to get at it step by step, and they all run past each other, so they don't even have time to tell one another what they need to know. And the real information is then injected right into his brain in secret, because it had to be kept secret from the villains, so that they could then be overpowered. That's where withheld information becomes a good plot device. But you never see this in these crap shows.
Okay.
If anyone couldn't follow me right now, watch Dark City. It's an amazing movie.
Back to Jessie Gender. We got 20 seconds after 7 minutes. It's tough to get through this one because Jessie ain't too bright. No offense, but Jessie, my God, look past your nose for more than a minute, please.
Over and over again. Like, they're doing a Rey Skywalker movie, and the stuff released, like merchandise and stuff that's even come out, that they want Rey to like build in something new. Like, she's not going to recreate the Jedi, she's going to do something new. And I worry that what they're going to do with that movie, it's going to get targeted for a lot of sexist hate. And the fact that they caved into racist taste by not having Johnny Boyega there.
Why?
Johnny Boyega.
Oh wait, now we're racist because John Boyega is not there?
What is racism by omission? What are you talking about, Jessie? Because
the people who don't the black guy in the movie are the Chinese.
Because they didn't hire Rose Tico again, Kelly Marie Tran, therefore the people who hate Star Wars are going to complain? Like, what are you talking about?
And people didn't hate Kelly Marie Tran. They hated the character she was forced to play because that was her job.
This is.
They hated the character. That character could have been played by anyone. People would hate the character.
What does imagine if Jesse found out they hired Kelly Marie Tran, John Boyega, blah 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 blah, right? He'd be like, well, the haters are going to come out and say it's racist and blah blah blah. He's like, what do you want, Jesse? What are you talking about?
Oh, and Soul of the Dragon in the chat is I believe on point. John Boyega probably didn't want to be a clown in this franchise again because that's what they wrote him into.
Yeah.
That's what Rian Johnson wrote him into.
Anyway, back to Jesse.
I kind of want to see them rehire Kelly Marie Tran, have her kill her character from the Rian Johnson one, then kill Rey, kill basically the whole cast from Disney Wars, and rebuild the Jedi Order.
I am all the Jedi.
Oh God!
Not you.
No.
And just rebuild the Jedi from the expanded universe.
That he got. They're just having Rey, but then I doubt they're going to go very far in that movie to actually differentiate something different, and it will just be the Jedi 2.0, and that'll be the franchise moving forward. We're just going to do Jedi shit going forward because that's what we can sell. That's what's not going to cause any controversy. But it's not going to push the franchise forward, and it's going to.
Why do you need controversy? What do you mean with forward? Do you mean into communism? Because that's all that you ever mean when you say things like forward or progress or progressive. That's all you ever mean.
How the hell were episodes 7, 8, and 9 pushing the franchise forward? What
do you mean with forward? What is forward? What is in that direction? What is there?
Jesse admitted episode 9 was just a big memberberry crap, which I agree. It's pretty stupid. Episode 8 was, I don't know what the hell that was. And episode 7 was a retread of episode 4. Yeah.
With a smidge of episode 5 with the, I am your father.
Yeah, I know. It's like, what exactly, like, what is
the only substantive thing that you could do as forward, that is not communist ideological garbage propaganda bullshit, is if you adhere to some of the expanded universe characters that the Old Republic has some as well, like Sith heretics who also managed to look beyond the duality and realized there is no light side and dark side, there is only the Force. That is a thing in the expanded universe, and that would be the equivalent to reaching enlightenment in things like Buddhism, where people have managed to understand that the illusion, that dualism is an illusion, that it's still part of the illusion, and that's where Sith turn, you could say, good, and where Jedi turn accepting of the necessity of the dark, because in the end we need the suffering in order to make us grow, but too much breaks us.
I think this is
that is the balance you need.
This is asking too much at this point for a Star Wars anything. All we need is a good story. I don't care if it's pushing boundaries or pushing the envelope or making new lore. Just tell a good story. Keep everything standard. I don't care. Just
I didn't mean that it needs to go in that direction. I said that's the only thing in further development that you can bring into. And even that you would need to do very, very carefully.
They couldn't even follow KOTOR, like just take word for word KOTOR and turn it into a series. Mm-hmm. They can't even do that.
Yeah, and that would have been amazing.
Well, we'd be a bit, scared of what we would get, because we'd be like, oh my God, they're actually adapting KOTOR. They're going to screw it up, right? So it's like,
yeah, of course, in this era, of course they would.
Yeah.
Also, here, another pitch. I don't know how many millions I would need. I would still be open to making the Nar Shaddaa Noir movie without Jedi and Sith. In a way, Andor did something in that direction by not dealing with Jedi and Sith.
See, that would
definitely not.
That would require an understanding of the lore and a strong adherence to what Nar Shaddaa represents, and that would never happen because they would turn into their own little
Because
Kenobi bullshit.
Because of that, Rian Johnson invented Cantobite.
Yeah.
Cantobite was irrelevant because we have Nar Shaddaa. I mean, okay, he made the nice glossy rich people's resort, but the whole point was you could do all this illegal shit because of Nar Shaddaa. And you didn't have this. They made up this nonsense about weapons dealers who sold TIE fighters to the Empire and X-wings to the Rebellion. That's bullshit. The ships that the rebels have are donations, for the most part, and the Empire produces its TIE fighters itself. That's why they're so fucking cheap and they're mass-produced. This TLJ is garbage from start to finish. At every point, it was already destroying every piece of lore. And I think Molloy didn't even mention this part.
All right. 8 minutes. Oh.
Constantly have returns. And it's just a decay, and then Star Wars means nothing. As it's slowly been going. And it's frustrating because there have been elements of the Star Wars franchise that I've really liked. Hell, I'll even say the Book of Boba Fett even had some great stuff talking about indigenous cultures. The show was a mess.
No, it didn't. The Sand People were shit still. It was garbage. They invented they turned it into a stupid Western where the Sand People now attack an armored train because we need trains in Star Wars now.
Oh yeah, remember that from Solo? That was a fun.
Yeah, let's have a train because we're Americans. We can't write anything other than Western.
We need fuel. Oh, that was episode 8, but still, before episode 9 came out, there was Solo, so they ran with the fuel plot. Oh, the Empire needs fuel. It's like, really? It does? Yeah, because episode 8, everyone needed fuel. Because they're running out of fuel. We can only do one more jump to light speed. It's like, oh, because we have fuel. Oh shit.
I thought we have fusion bullshit thing with magical gravity and everything. But such bullshit.
Yeah.
But it had some good stuff like that. Andor, fantastic. But it's notable to say that Andor is written by Tony Gilroy, a white dude, who like
why? Why is that notable?
You bloody racist!
What the Jesse? It's notable because he's a white man. No, it isn't, Jesse.
It was good. Oh, wait. Jesse is admitting, or that is admitting what the worldview is in this hollow head, and that is that Andor was good, but it was good because it was written by a white man. And Acolyte was bad because it wasn't written by a white man.
By a white lesbian.
Yeah. Jesse, so you are admitting that women can't write, even though we earlier brought tons of examples where that is not the case. The problem is that you are all narcissistic and sadistic ideologues.
Why are we... Okay, I think we can stop right there. This is no...
Should we mention that the lesbian who made the Acolyte and put her wife into the show worked for Harvey Weinstein and sent all the girls to him to the casting couch?
Let's not go there.
And had no problem with that because that's actually her code of living, the whole Sith thing.
Yeah, well...
Jesse, why do you cheer for evil people who perpetuate rape culture?
The fact you have to mention that the writer for whatever was a white guy and that she liked the Andor or whatever. It's like, why did you do that? Why don't you just say you hate white people, Jesse? Why don't you just be honest with us? Get it out in the open. What difference does it make that the white guy wrote the thing you liked? There's so many white guys throughout time and history that have written good things and bad things. What is your point? Like Cicero, he was a white dude. He wrote stuff. What a horrible man. Ancient Greece and ancient Rome and blah blah blah. Jesus, we can stop. I'm done. I was done in the first few minutes, but
in the from the view of the Romans and Greeks, we up here in Central and Northern Europe, we were considered the yellow people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Crazy.
Well, I could stop right here. I'm more than happy to go back to my much more pleasant life where I plan fun activities with my friends and family and eat good food and don't have to listen to a weird racist ramble on about the hegemony of Star Wars or some bullshit.
I think Jessie only transitioned due to a hatred for men.
I don't know. I don't care because it's none of my business. And personally, why would I? It's just a weird thing that this person is considered a critic of any.
That's part of my business. Doesn't need to be one of yours.
Okay, if you want to, pursue your understandings
I just don't like imposters.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we have any memes because I need something happy or pleasant. This has all been sad and stupid.
It is.
What do we got for memes? Give me something. Star Wars got to have some memes. Okay, we got some memes. There we go.
Oh, we get past the halfway point at least.
Star Wars fans are upset.
I wonder what would have been in the final minutes of insanity.
No, we're already there.
I don't want to see it. I just wonder.
Yeah. Star Wars fans are upset over the Acolyte's abrupt cancellation. No, we ain't.
Memes.
Episode 3 introduces lesbian space witches that use the Force to get pregnant. I also use Force to get lesbians pregnant. Jesus. Oh. Don't say that in public. Here we go. Star Wars The Acolyte showrunner on how it'll challenge what we know about the Jedi and Sith. Star Wars fans being subjected to another challenging installment. It just means it's bad.
The people who like this aren't fans.
Fortunately.
We're gonna say just before I went to Wisp, there have been trains in Star Wars before. You ever heard of Shadows of the Empire?
What's that?
It was a
yes.
It was a multimedia thing.
Okay.
I don't know why we're using AI to make weird visuals. And I don't get the joke behind this. It just looks goofy as hell.
Because he doesn't like sand.
But why would he eat it? Like, just have. Would be funnier if he would like have different depictions of him just crying, just completely like when he's sad, when he's disgusted, when he's traumatized. Like just give me different emotions. This is him just eating sand. Like what the hell?
Yeah, there is a vague humor to it, but without any sense.
Yeah. Give me some emotion.
It's just random.
He doesn't like sand. It's because Obi-Wan made him eat it.
You need to like lesbian witches in space and shit. I like cool lightsaber fights and spaceship battles. Yeah, that would be nice.
I hope these new cartoon things die.
This I actually like. This I like. I hate Israel. Wow, you must really support Palestine. You support Palestine, right?
Nope.
I hate both of them.
Yeah, they can't comprehend that.
It's over, Anakin. I portrayed you as a Zoyjack. Soyjack?
Soyjack.
All right. There it is. There's the dance music video. To those who are flooding me with intolerable racism, you got 72 hours to respond. The Acolyte Star Wars calls out discourse and racism in social media music video. Yeah. It was not a good music video. Let's just say that.
So she's a black woman with a giant afro dancing. Isn't that blaxploitation?
Yes.
She's from the 70s?
It's like
blaxploitation.
It's like she wants to be the new Shaft.
Oh, jeez. Don't do that. Jessie Genders, here's the description of her channel. I talk about the nuance and the nerdy and focus on issues facing the LGBTQ community, whatever that is, transgender specific community. So
no, you don't.
So what does the T in community mean, or LGBTQ? Why?
That's supposed to be the transgender, but it's been captured by fetishists.
So there's a difference between LGBTQ community and transgender specific community. What's the transgender?
It's because it's a subset.
Yeah, but she's not saying specific transgender community. She's saying
that's because Jessie's an idiot.
Oh, okay. She doesn't know English. There we go. Women. Why would Jessie know about anything about women? Okay. Non-binary and non-binary. Okay, again, I'm confused. And autistic folks. So we're going from.
Why is Jessie talking about autism? Jessie's not autistic. Jessie's just an idiot.
Yeah.
Look, Jessie, I'm autistic. You're retarded. We're not the same.
Okay. As other social and political issues through and within geek talk. Okay. This is confusing because right now all these topics really hard to talk about. Then she's talking about them within geek topics. So that could be anything. That could be pick any fandom. Why you would do that, you're then implying I'm using a lens of these things which I vaguely know some about to talk about video games or movies or whatever, with an eye to the most vulnerable. The most vulnerable what? The most vulnerable character? The most vulnerable scene?
Not people, humanoids.
Hominids.
Yeah, but that could be, again, like when the man in black in The Princess Bride loses all his strength and he becomes dead, and then he becomes undead. He has no strength. He's very vulnerable. I mean,
Pirate Roberts.
But smart. He's white, so he still has institutional power.
Okay. My goal is
he doesn't have an institution.
My goal,
despite the entire country being against him.
He's mostly dead. He's fine. My goal is to try to create a space on YouTube, really, where we can talk about hard issues. Wait, let me try this English one more time. My goal is to try to create a space where we can talk about hard issue.
By the way, Dune Book 6 is written like this.
With bad
I'm
grammar?
not exaggerating. Like this.
Okay. No comma, but in a way that is constructive, positive, welcoming, and educational, because apparently talking about it... Yeah.
That means brainwashing.
Because apparently when you talk about it, you're not being educational in this. You're just rambling. And educational. And still never... Okay, now they're changing grammar. The tenses are... Let me try this sentence one more time. My goal is to try to create a space where we can talk about hard issue, but in a way that is constructive, positive, welcoming, and educational, but still never loses sight of the joy and love for each other that brought us together in the first place. Holy run-on sentence, Batman. What is this? What is this nonsense? Maybe she wrote this like 20 years ago, or I don't know, 2008 when YouTube just came out and then forgot about it.
I suggest getting a brain scan. Seriously.
Grammar is horrible. Whoa.
Get a neurologist.
Got like 7 ideas in that one sentence. Like, Jesus.
And get off the amphetamine.
Okay, we got Jar Jar.
High Republic.
We got...
offering drugs to Palpatine, who's smoking.
He's Palpatine smoking. Everyone's smoking.
Yoda's smoking is a ketamine mix.
I like the High Republic. It makes sense now.
just so that it doesn't get tolerant.
Certainly explains the story.
If you ever remember those whiteboards of the High Republic, you'll be like, oh yeah, that's stupid shit.
Geode is a rock, and he's the navigator.
He's the navigator of the ship.
It's not just a boulder, it's a rock.
Yeah, they did the quirky thing.
Hey, Star Wars, the High Republic stole my idea. The pioneers used to ride those babies for miles. All right.
Strike me down, my son, and I shall forgive more sins than you can possibly imagine.
I like it. It's good.
You can only counter a stupid lightsaber with a stupider lightsaber.
Yeah.
Both wielding burning crosses.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this.
Oh, Yoda.
I tell you, one of you will betray me. Keep walking, traitor. Okay. What? No, that's stupid. That's just silly.
It's just that comment about, Jedi being Catholics.
You did it. You went.
Those are orthodox.
You went to the dark side to
Yeah.
say Padme. Yes. What did it cost, Padme?
I know.
I guess that's kind of ironic considering the background images. How am I going to explain this to your son? How did my father die? Okay, Obi-Wan, you've been planning for this moment for years. Here we go. Barbecue X. Huh.
Jar Jar fighting Fluttershy? Why?
Wow, what is going on?
It makes less not sense than the Acolyte.
Is that
It's
a model?
It's a mod for a Star Wars game by the looks of it.
It is a mod. Okay.
I'm not sure which Star Wars game. I can't tell by the user interface. Let's see. Oh, is this Star Wars Battlefront 2? Because it says someone Obi-Wan Episode 1 Monk Robe was something by Michael Jordan, so yeah, it's probably Battlefront. Maybe.
Oh dear, this is good. Look, Master of Speed Bumps. Anakin, those are children. Me on my way to a vile person. I just like the new thing.
Me on my way to be a vile person.
Oh. Is that the Astartes? I can't remember which one. Yeah, probably.
That looks like Weekend at Bernie's.
I must say at this point, while Warhammer stole tons of things from everywhere, the stuff they stole from Dune is better done in Warhammer than it was in Dune, which is scary.
I don't really like this one.
The power of one. The power of two. The power of many.
He doesn't even get to 7. The lightning always comes at 7.
Oh, but you are a hate-filled bigot. I swear this is what all these people talk about is hate, bigotry, sexism, ageism, ableism. Like pick any ism, they'll just keep using it. Oh, you just want to see your beliefs reflected back at you. You don't want other opinions. I don't understand. When people read books, like, do they actually pay attention and go, I've never heard this before. I've never seen it in that perspective. Like, this is why we read books in general, because of things we've never heard of or thought of.
Only a few people. Do you think Jessie reads?
I hope so.
Smud, look who is saying it to. A mirror. He's saying it to himself.
I guess. I don't know. I was hoping the mirror was different, so it'd be like a different person, and it's, we get something out of it, but just the mirror. It's just a mirror. And they drew it.
Exactly.
They could have just had a photograph of someone, but they drew it. So like, what is going on? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Original Palpatine and Special Edition Palpatine for ESB. Oh yeah, I remember that crazy old looking weird robot face.
Average Bene Gesserit.
Okay, last one. Jesse, what the fuck are you talking? You know what? That is pretty much. If I were to do a response to Jessie Gender, I'd just play that every scene. It would make so much sense to me.
Do you think there might be anything salvageable in the next? How many minutes?
No, it's all just rambling.
Or is it just the same shit?
It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because in this ramble or this rant, she edited herself, which means there's some even worse crap she took out that she did not want to share with others.
Oh my god!
Usually, you just sit back and rant for you record and you don't think about it. Jesse actually watched this and edited it.
It's weak to ramble openly.
Yeah. Anyway, that was Jessie Gender. We were doing it for almost 2 hours, and I think that's enough for today. So.
And Jessie got funded by the Democrat Party and all the CCP.
Really?
Most BreadTubers got.
Oh, they're really sending their best, aren't they?
I'd like to see the
only ones they have.
I want to, because I think what's his name was hilarious how we found out about Xanderhall's receipts.
Renegade cut? Yeah, Xanderhall, Renegade cut.
He had
money.
receipts? Renegade cut? Really?
Oh, it's been, there was, it came out at some point. It's been a year ago at least that I heard of it.
Wow.
The China Show talked about it, and they didn't know who all these bread tubers were, but they had they had a list about this, I believe. And one that stuck with me was Jason Unruhe, who is an absolute rambling nonsense guy that we never covered on Smudcast because he's too bad to cover on here. We try to cover on Cyrex thing, on the Sisyphus experience. Jason Unruhe's, I think, 4-hour video about how Caesar's Legion is communist and how that's amazing.
What? No, that's not a thing.
It's insanely rambly, and he doesn't know what words mean, and it goes on and on and on. And
anyway, I gotta get some water or something just to remind myself I'm a human. and I don't listen or talk to people like this ever, so it's just once a week I would do this.
Smart. On the weekend, watch Andor. It is very human.
I'll be busy. I have a life. What do you call it? Stop telling me to do these things. I have other media, other things to read and watch. I have friends. I go out. I pet dogs sometimes.
Well, that is also very human.
Yeah.
So Gingerman's just messaged me. Please fetch me that table of the Disney Wars show budgets before you guys finish. So
sure. It's a link I put in. It's a link I put in the chat. But yeah, you could also share it to him. That's fine.
I've just given him the link.
Anyway, guys, thank you. So that was Jessie Gender on their sadness towards the cancellation of Acolyte.
Yeah.
And let's not cover Jessie Gender for another few years. That'll be nice.
Let me just do a quick calculation. So you've got Andor, that's at 250 million for 12 episodes, 7 hours and 51 minutes, 54 seconds, so round it up to 52 minutes, yeah? So 7 hours, that's what's that, 420 plus 52, so that's so that's 472 minutes. Okay. So
it was still more watched than Acolyte, despite not being promoted.
Yeah, and I'm on about calculating it, how much it costs versus the Acolyte. It costs 12 episodes, and you've got almost double the duration of the Acolyte.
Just imagine if Andor was the only episode, was the only thing to watch, it would be a lot higher.
Yeah. And so in cost per minute watched, it is cheaper.
So even if you just do it per episode, so the Acolyte, add 50% to that budget to get an equal number of episodes, and you've got 270 million. Right? Whereas if you almost double the amount of runtime, like Andor has, then that would be that would be over 300 million.
And you don't see that on screen. You don't see that on screen.
Anyway,
yeah,
that money is somewhere, but it's not on screen.
We got a healthy brain and lifestyle to get back to. So thank you guys for watching. Thanks for the recommendation. Keep them coming. We didn't do anime day this week, but maybe we'll do it next week. Who knows? I will not be available on Monday, unfortunately, but maybe we'll do it on Tuesday. That's possible. So thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Have a great night. Good night.
Have a good time.
Bye.